I don't think this is a ghost, but you guys can judge for yourself.
Mortals, it's me, Grim. I am the ruler of the underworld. Yes, the devil is not real, it's all me, Grim. I'm a dragon, my little temple, my fire. But yes, I am ruler of the underworld. I have been for many years now. And, well, I sort of got into a hobby recently after getting bored after centuries, doing the same old thing, judging souls and ruling the underworld, blah, to demons and so on, so stuff. That I became a creepypasta writer, that's right. You expect me to become a creepypasta writer, but I did, so I would appreciate if you would listen to them. If you don't, I'll take your souls and make them burn forever in eternity. So you better listen to my creepypastas. Otherwise, yeah, you know what you'll get. Okay, so my first creepypasta. Honey. Yes, what do you want, woman? This is my wife. She's a unicorn. Sally. What do you want, dear? I told her that dinner's almost ready. Thank you, but can't you see I'm in the middle of my creepypastas? But I made spaghetti. You love the spaghetti. But baby, I'm in the middle of my creepy pastas. I love spaghetti! Yes, dear. We'll go dinner right now. We'll have dinner right now. Oh, thank you, dear. You're so nice. Come on. I'll be back in a minute to finish my creepy pastas. Okay, it's been a minute, and I'm back to tell you my creepypastas. My first creepypasta is called The Special Makeup. Our story begins with a young lady, maybe 23 or 21. It depends on what you think our age should be, but she's definitely over the age of 25 or 26. Let's continue with the story on, shall we? Anyway, she was a very young lady, a very pretty lady, but she was obsessed with makeup. She did not matter how expensive the makeup was. If she saw it, she wanted it. She would buy it. So, this obsessed with makeup little young lady once discovered a new makeup shop on the end of the street where she lived. Excited, she rushed in because, well, as you know, she loved makeup. So she rushed in. There were all kinds of makeup, beauty products lining everywhere all around the store. The owner came near. He greeted her and said his name, Mr. Brackerbook. Mr. Brackerbook said if she was interested in anything particular out of his many beauty products that he made himself. Now she was very intrigued. User-made beauty products, he says, are better than, well, company-made. So, whatever she believes in, I guess. But she asked, do you have any special makeup? Any stuff that's not the usual, that only you could ever make? Mr. Badgerbook had a grin, a sort of evil-like grin. But come on, this man can't be evil, he sold makeup after all. Any guy or woman that sells makeup was a friend of hers. So he said, yes, indeed, I do have a special makeup. Her eyes widened. She grinned uncontrollably. She was very excited to see the special makeup. Mr. Magdabook went to the back room. He said he was going to get the special makeup. He had it locked up so no one would steal it. This made sense, she thought. He came out with it. It was a big bucket full of makeup. And, well, he said, open the lid and look. He opened the lid. It was a big tub of powdery makeup that, well, was perfect. It was just her kind of makeup. But she said, what does it do? Why is it special? He replied, well, the makeup lasts forever. It can never come off. She screamed uncontrollably, a happy scream. He said he understood her assignment and insisted she should buy it. She definitely did and handed over the considerable amount of cash. She rushed home and put on the makeup. She was more beautiful than ever. Of course, she could never be beautiful enough, but she still was more beautiful than she ever had in her entire life. Days went by. It was indeed true. The makeup stayed. It didn't smudge, not one bit, not one of it fell off. Nothing. But one day when she was out walking, probably growing a new purse or something, some flowers, it started to rain. And she was worried it might mess up her makeup. But then she remembered, the makeup could not be removed. So she walked home as usual. As the rain fell on her face, she didn't have a care in the world. She got back home and she thought she'd put on a little bit more of her old makeup since it was nearing its expiration date, and she thought it better used it instead of just throwing it away because, well, she loved the makeup almost like if it was her child. She looked in the mirror. Her makeup was all smeared, running down. It appeared the rain did have an effect on the makeup. She was puzzled, but maybe it was never clarified that the rain would not have any effect, so she couldn't be mad. She thought she would just run it all off and put it on again, and next time she'd be careful about the rain. She began to smear it off with a wet rag when she realized it wasn't coming off. She tried everything she could. It wasn't coming off. 14 days of traveling the whole world, seeing if she could get the makeup off of her face. It wouldn't. So now, she was stuck with this runny makeup that looked like she had been crying. Her whole entire face was hideous. The makeup had been distorted, and she could never take it off. So for the rest of her life, she would always look like this. She would always be a monster. Did I also mention all these are my original creepypastas? I don't think I did. Yes, they're all original. I made up with them. Posted into the World Wide Web. Well, I suppose you want to hear another one of my creepypastas, since that one was pretty darn smoking if I say so myself. Ha ha ha. Well, my next creepypasta is called The Classroom Frog. Once there was a teacher named Mr. Higgins. Mr. Higgins ran a classroom with, well, 14 to 15 students. He was a pretty strict teacher and didn't really joke around too much. One day he came in and he greeted the classmates like he always would in the morning, wrote his name down on the chalkboard, and then said what they'd be learning today. Well, he didn't say that they'd be learning anything. He said they'd learn something for sure, but he wouldn't have them watch us yet. The students were intrigued at this point. They were excited to see what they would learn today, which they weren't usually, since the classroom was very boring. He pulled out a little frog. A little frog? It wasn't a live frog, it was a little frog. Just a little metal frog with pretty, very, very pretty as it was. He explained what the frog was. He said that it was a temptation frog. He wanted to see if his classmates could really be tempted and to see if they could be patient, which he said was very important, and they would have to learn throughout their life and they would always use it. The students were puzzled. How would this teach them about temptation? Well, he explained. He said whoever came up and opened the frog would have their souls out of the body and into the metal frog, never to be released again. The students were confused. This didn't make any sense. But they were interested still, intrigued. He said, I'll leave the classroom now and leave you to it. Remember, if you open it up, you'll never come out. He left the classroom. He didn't explain why, but he did anyways. So about 5 to 10 minutes, they all sat there, waiting for him to return. Probably to do some boring algebra, something like that. When one student named Billy got very, very bored, he said to the whole class, abruptly, I will go and open the frog, he said. Some of the other classmates said that it was a bad idea, and that they should respect the teacher. But Billy said that it was all probably just a fake and just a little poll to see if he would actually do it. So what if he got in trouble? He got in trouble all the time. So he began to walk up to the desk. He was there. The other classmates were hesitant to see what would happen. Some were intrigued, some were more scared. Billy grabbed the frog, placed it in his palm, and began to open the top of the frog. The frog opened up, and his soul was sucked straight from his body into the frog. His lifeless body dropped to the ground. All the students screamed in terror. The teacher came back to the classroom. He said, I knew one of you wouldn't resist. He walked over to the body. Well, he put it in a trash bag and put it in the trash bin next to his desk. He said if anyone ever told anything about this, that he would go to the house and bring the frog along with him. The students hushed. They did not make a peep. Some of them didn't even breathe. So he said how important patience was, and that you should always be patient. He put the frog back into his pocket, and the rest of the day, the rest of the school year, went on as normal. I do like that one indeed. It's one of my personal favorites. It's also one of my first. I was talentedly gifted with writing creepypastas. So I'm sure you want to hear another one? Of course you do. But here's my next creepypasta, The Turtle Necklace. Once upon a time, there was a young man. He was on a hike throughout the mountain that lived near his little town. It was a cozy town. Nothing really ever happened. It was nice and cozy. Nice and cozy. So he was on his hike like usual. He did every Tuesday and Monday, sometimes Saturdays and Sundays. It all depended on how he felt on the day of his hike. When he stumbled upon a new shop that had opened up, they must have built it overnight, he thought. Incredible. It said antiques. So he decided to take a little trip inside, see if he can find anything in light. He had $15 in his pocket, so he had plenty enough if he wanted to buy an antique. There at the counter in front of the store was like a middle-aged bald man. Well, he saw the young man that was on his hike, walking around the store, seeing if he could find anything. Then he got to the necklace section. The probably mid-30s, 40s man walked over. He said, the necklace section, yes. This is probably the best part of my entire store. He reached and grabbed a turtle necklace, and he held it in front of the man that was on his hike. The man said, well, that looks like a pretty dumb necklace to me. Just a turtle. I don't even like turtles. But the man explained this was no ordinary turtle necklace. He said it would bring him good luck. He said in his religion, the turtle was a sign of good luck, and that this necklace would bring whoever wore it good luck. The man had been experiencing some bad luck recently, spraining his ankle and stuff like that. So he said he'd take it, and well, lo and behold, it costed $14. It's $1 less than what he had. So he purchased it and put it around his neck. He immediately felt better. He was excited about the rest of his hike and went for the rest of his hike. He felt good. He got back home, and well, he didn't think much of it. But he did wear it to bed every night, since he'd be having some panic attacks at night while he was sleeping. He wore it everywhere. Sometimes unconsciously, he wore it, forgetting that he had wore it on. So one day, he was in the drive-thru of McDonald's, when to get a 4 for $4, when he was spinning around his turtle necklace on his finger, because, well, quite frankly, he was bored, and it was a very long line. He knew he'd at least be sitting there for another 12 minutes or more, when all of a sudden he let go. It flung, landed on the window. He heard a crack. He thought it might be the window at first. He looked around. It wasn't the window. Where was the turtle necklace? It fell between the seat. He reached down and ground it up and placed it back on his neck. He looked at it while it was in the palm of his hand, the turtle itself, and he noticed one of the legs was missing. This puzzled him. How come there was no mark on the window, but the turtle lost its leg? Well, he didn't question it. Sure, he may have had lost one of its legs, but he should still bring good luck. Finally, he got his order, but it was wrong, all wrong, and the worker refused to give him a refund. He gave them a bad review on Yelp and went home. And for the next week, all sorts of unlucky stuff would happen to the young man. He thought it might have been because the turtle had been broken, still wearing the turtle necklace. He fell asleep, and he had a dream. A very strange dream. A dream like no one has ever dreamt before. He woke up in a patch of black clouds. A giant turtle was standing up above him. He screamed into him, but the turtle said shush, holding one of its nails over its snout. The giant turtle said, last week you broke my leg. I was supposed to bring you luck, and I did. I brought a bunch of luck for you, but you have forsaken me by twirling me around with your negligence. The man was confused, but he knew it had to be a dream. He contained himself to wake up, but he didn't. What seemed like hours went by, the turtle lecturing him. Finally, he woke up, but he wasn't in his body. He was hovering over it. What seemed like he was covered in his body on the bed was covered in sweat. The turtle necklace was covered in blood. He was confused. And then the turtle appeared in sort of a black cloud-like shape. It said, Now that you've broken me, I'll no longer give you good luck. But I'll give you something worse than bad luck. Death. He had realized what had happened. He had died in his sleep. Oh no, this was terrible. He pleaded with the turtle to give him a second chance. He said he would mend the turtle. But he said, how could you mend me? You don't know where my leg went inside the car. So, he went down. His spirit was floating down and down. Eventually, he ended up in the depths of hell, where he spent the rest of his eternity getting his leg ripped off. And the turtle smiled in glee as he would watch him forever. That one has a twist that I don't think anyone saw coming. Well, I suppose you're ready for my next creepypasta. I call this one the Old Rusty Sword. And it's one of my personal favorites. There was a young man who purchased an old house. That's run down, but just old itself. The house had a very bad history. Everyone who'd ever lived in it died from a sword. The same sword died. And not of natural cause, too. Not suicide, not a murder. It just sort of happened. It was strange. 6 owners dead. Now he was the new owner. He didn't worry. He thought, well, how can those legends be true? Doesn't make any sense. A few months went by, nothing happened. He was living a pretty good life. And well, he was out buying groceries. He'd come back home, and he opened his door, and all of a sudden, wham! His sword was straight in his skull. He screamed before falling to the floor, dying. It seemed the curse had happened again. The sword had struck once again. And now, hundreds of years later, every owner that moves into that house meets the same fate. The sword. So now the sword's kept in a museum. But still, some of the workers and employees there have met the same fate. Oh yes, Tom's my favorite of all time. It's short but sweet. Well, I presume you want to hear my next creepypasta. This one's also pretty good. I called this one Jake the Snake. Jake had many friends. He was pretty well known in town. But suddenly his friends started to dislike him because he's got a new pet, Cobra. Yes, the most poisonous snake in the world. The friends did not like that Jake had such a poisonous pet and told him to get rid of it. Jake loved his pet Cobra, though. It would not give it up no matter what they said. So they defriended him, left him in the dust. So Jake made a promise that his Cobra would be the last thing they saw. That's right. Jake sent out his Cobra to deal with his old friends, now enemies. Every night they snuck into the beds, and well, the Cobra finished him off. He got his revenge, and no one suspected a thing. After a few years, people started catching on. There were Cobra skins everywhere victims popped up. By this point, Jake was killing random people. They caught on, they arrested Jake, and they asked him, was his Cobra the one doing this dirty work? He said yes, the Cobra did do the dirty work. So the cops said, so you just used the Cobra to do your dirty work for you? Jake laughed. Ha ha ha! No, you idiots! I did not use the Cobra to do my dirty work. The cops were confused. That didn't make any sense. Was there a new plot in the story? No, Jake told him. Jake then transformed into the Cobra himself. He said he was the Cobra. He'd always been the Cobra. And that he was the one getting revenge on all of his friends, not the Cobra. Then, he bit all the police members. He went through the entire police station and went out into the woods, where he lived the rest of his days as the most poisonous snake in the world. As this little town would always be in terror. But when the next time Jake would strike. I like that one. It's simple but sweet. Well, that's all the creepypastas I have for now. But I will see you next October with more creepypastas. So stay tuned, subscribe. You might even see more of me before October next year. You never know. Honey, come on, we gotta go bowling. Oh yes, it's bowling night. Well, I'll see you next October with more creepypastas. Honey! I'm coming, dear, I'm coming. So long.